Hare Krishna, my dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just a stone's throw from the English Channel, where we call the Haven. Hythe, translated into Anglo-Saxon as Haven, so this originally was called the Haven. So we're trying to revive the meaning of haven by vibrating transcendental sound here every day to as many people as we can who want to hear. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam especially. We're going a little slower than we usually go, but it's good, more than good. Take us some time to finish the Bhagavatam again, but this time with unbroken connections, it's good. Srila Sanatana Goswami glorified the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in his Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Mahima Stotram, which appears in the Sri Krishna Lila Stava as the 107th obeisance offered by Srila Sanatana Goswami to the Vrindavan pastimes of Krishna. It goes like this: Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Purāṇa Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho Kali Dvandoditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Mareka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Man Nistadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy. I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin atini chocheta kara hanamuncha kadachin mam premna rit kantayokspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we reach the third canto, second chapter, Remembrance of Lord Krishna. After Vidura met Uddhava in Braj, Uddhava is now responding to Vidura's questions and remembering Lord Krishna in separation. Beginning with text 22. Therefore, O Vidura, does it not pain us, his servitors, when we remember that he, Lord Krishna, used to stand before King Ugrasena, who is sitting on the royal throne, and submit explanations before him, saying, O my Lord, please let it be known to you. Purport. Lord Krishna's gentle behavior before his so-called superiors, such as his grandfather, and elder brother, his amiable behavior with his so-called wives, friends, and contemporaries, his behavior as a child before his mother Yashoda, and his naughty dealings with his young girlfriends, cannot bewilder a pure devotee like Uddhava. Others, who are not devotees, are bewildered by such behavior of the Lord, who acted just like a human being. This bewilderment is explained by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 9:11 as follows. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanamashritam padam bhavamajananto mamabhuta maheshwaram. Persons with a poor fund of knowledge belittle the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, not knowing his exalted position as the Lord of everything. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained his position clearly, but the demoniac atheistic student squeezes out an interpretation to suit his own purpose and misleads unfortunate followers into the same mentality. Such unfortunate persons merely pick up some slogans from the great book of knowledge, but are unable to estimate the Lord as the supreme personality of Godhead. Pure devotees like Uddhava, however, are never misled by such atheistic opportunists. Text 23. Oh, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than him, Lord Krishna, who granted the position of mother to the she-demon Purāṇa, although she was faithless and had prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Purport. Here is an example of the extreme mercy of the Lord, even to his enemy. It is said that a noble man accepts the good qualities of a person of doubtful character, just as one accepts nectar from a stalk of poison. In his babyhood, he was administered deadly poison by Purāṇa, a she-demon who tried to kill the wonderful baby. And because she was a demon, it was impossible for her to know that the Supreme Lord, even though playing the part of a baby, was no one less than the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. His value as the Supreme Lord did not diminish upon his becoming a baby to please his devotee, Yashoda. The Lord may assume the form of a baby or a shape other than that of a human being, but it doesn't make the slightest difference. He is always the same Supreme. A living creature, however powerful he may be, however powerful he may become, by dint of severe penance, can never become equal to the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna accepted the motherhood of Purāṇa because she pretended to be an affectionate mother, allowing Krishna to suck her breast. The Lord accepts the least qualification of a living entity and awards him the highest reward. I'll repeat that again. The Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him the highest reward. That is the standard of his character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter? Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 24. I consider the demons who are inimical toward the Lord to be more than the devotees, because while fighting with the Lord, absorbed in thoughts of enmity, they are able to see the Lord carried on the shoulder of Garuda, the son of Tarksha, Kashyapa, and carrying the wheel weapon in his hand. Purport. The asuras who fought against the Lord face to face got salvation due to their being killed by the Lord. This salvation of the demons is not due to their being devotees of the Lord. It is because of the Lord's causeless mercy. Anyone who is slightly in touch with the Lord, somehow or other, is greatly benefited, even to the point of salvation, due to the excellence of the Lord. He is so kind that he awards salvation even to his enemies, because they come into contact with him and are indirectly absorbed in him by their inimical thoughts. Actually, the demons can never be equal to the pure devotees, but Uddhava was thinking in that way because of his feelings of separation. He was thinking that at the last stage of his life, he might not be able to see the Lord face to face, as did the demons. The fact is that the devotees who are always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, in transcendental love, are rewarded many hundreds and thousands of times more than the demons by being elevated to the spiritual planets, where they remain with the Lord in eternal, blissful existence. The demons and impersonalists are awarded the facility of merging into the Brahmajyoti effulgence of the Lord, whereas the devotees are admitted into the spiritual planets. For comparison, one can just imagine the difference between floating in space and residing in one of the planets in the sky. The pleasure of the living entities on the planets is greater than those who have no body and who merge with the molecules of the sun's rays. The impersonalists, therefore, are no more favored than the enemies of the Lord. Rather, they are both on the same level of spiritual salvation. Text 25. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, being prayed to by Brahma to bring welfare to the earth, was begotten by Vasudeva in the womb of his wife Devaki in the prison of the king of Bhoja. Purport. Although there is no difference between the Lord's pastimes of appearance and disappearance, the devotees of the Lord do not generally discuss the subject matter of his disappearance. Vidura inquired indirectly from Uddhava about the incident of the Lord's disappearance by asking him to relate Krishna Katha, or topics on the history of Lord Krishna. Thus Uddhava began the topics from the very beginning of his appearance as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison of Kamsa, the king of the Bhojas, at Mathura. The Lord has no business in this world, but when he is so requested by devotees like Brahma, he descends to the earth for the welfare of the entire universe. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma sangstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Text 26. Thereafter his father, being afraid of Kamsa, brought him to the cow pastures of Maharaj Nanda, and there he lived for 11 years like a covered flame with his elder brother, Baladev. Purport. There was no necessity of the Lord's being dispatched to the house of Nanda Maharaj out of fear of Kṛṣṇa's determination to kill him as soon as he appeared. It is the business of the Asuras to try to kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to prove by all means that there is no God, or that Krishna is an ordinary human being and not God. Lord Krishna is not affected by such determination of men of Kṛṣṇa's class, but in order to play the role of a child, he agreed to be carried by his father to the cow pastures of Nanda Maharaj, because Vasudeva was afraid of Kṛṣṇa. Nanda Maharaj was due to receive him as his child, and Yashoda Mayi was also to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord, and therefore, to fulfill everyone's desire, he was carried from Mathura to Vrindavan just after his appearance in the prison house of Kṛṣṇa. He lived there for 11 years and completed all his fascinating pastimes of childhood, boyhood, and adolescence with his elder brother, Lord Baladev, his first expansion. Vasudeva's thought of protecting Krishna from the wrath of Kṛṣṇa as part of a transcendental relationship. The Lord enjoys more when someone takes him as his subordinate son who needs the protection of a father than he does when someone accepts him as the Supreme Lord. He is the father of everyone, and he protects everyone. But when his devotee takes it for granted that the Lord is to be protected by the devotee's care, it is a transcendental joy for the Lord. Thus, when Vasudeva, out of fear of Kṛṣṇa, carried him to Vrindavan, the Lord enjoyed it. Otherwise, he had no fear from Kṛṣṇa or anyone else. Text 27. In his childhood, the Almighty Lord was surrounded by cowherd boys and calves, and thus he traveled on the shore of the Yamuna river, through gardens densely covered with trees and filled with vibrations of chirping birds. Purport. Nanda Maharaj was a landholder for King Kṛṣṇa. Repeat that. Nanda Maharaj was a landholder for King Kṛṣṇa, but because by caste he was a Vaishya, a member of the mercantile and agricultural community, he maintained thousands of cows. It is the duty of the Vaishyas to give protection to the cows, just as the Kshatriyas are to give protection to the human beings. Because the Lord was a child, he was put in charge of the calves with his cowherd boyfriends. These cowherd boys were great rishis and yogis in their previous births, and after many such pious births, they gained the association of the Lord and can play with him on equal terms. Such cowherd boys never cared to know who Krishna was, but they played with him as a most intimate and lovable friend. They were so fond of the Lord that at night they would only think of the next morning when they would be able to meet the Lord and go together to the forests for cowherding. The forests on the shore of the Yamuna are all beautiful gardens full of trees of mango, jackfruit, apples, guava, oranges, grapes, berries, palm fruit, and so many other plants and fragrant flowers. And because the forest was on the bank of the Yamuna, naturally there were ducks, cranes, and peacocks on the branches of the trees. All these trees and birds and beasts were pious living entities, born in the transcendental abode of Vrindavan, just to give pleasure to the Lord and his eternal associates, the cowherd boys. While playing like a small child with his associates, the Lord killed many demons, including Aghasura, Bakasura, Pralambasura, Gardhabasura. Although in Vrindavan he appeared just like a boy, He was actually like the covered flames of a fire. As a small particle of fire can kindle a great fire with fuel, so the Lord killed all these great demons, beginning from his babyhood in the house of Nanda Maharaj. The land of Vrindavan, the Lord's childhood playground, still remains today, and anyone who visits these places enjoys the same transcendental bliss, although the Lord is not physically visible to our imperfect eyes. Lord Chaitanya recommended this land of the Lord as identical with the Lord, and therefore worshipable by the devotees. This instruction is taken up especially by the followers of the Lord. This instruction is taken up especially by the followers of Lord Chaitanya, known as the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And because the land is identical with the Lord, devotees like Uddhava and Vidura visited these places 5,000 years ago in order to have direct contact with the Lord, visible or not visible. Thousands of devotees of the Lord are still wandering in these sacred places of Vrindavan, and all of them are preparing themselves to go back home, back to Godhead. Text 28. When the Lord displayed his activities just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vrindavan. Sometimes he would cry, and sometimes laugh, just like a child, and while doing so, he would appear like a lion cub. Purport. If anyone wants to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord, then he has to follow in the footsteps of the residents of Braja, like Nanda, Upananda, and other paternal inhabitants. A child may insist on having something and cry like anything to get it, disturbing the whole neighborhood, and then immediately after achieving the desired thing, he laughs. Such crying and laughing is enjoyable to the parents and elderly members of the family, so the Lord would simultaneously cry and laugh in this way and merge his devotee parents in the humor of transcendental pleasure. These incidents are enjoyable only by the residents of Braja, like Nanda Maharaj, and not by the impersonalist worshippers of Brahman or Paramatma. Sometimes, when attacked in the forest by demons, Krishna would appear struck with wonder, but he looked on them like the cub of a lion and killed them. His childhood companions would also be struck with wonder, and when they came back home, they would narrate the story to their parents, and everyone would appreciate the qualities of their Krishna. Child Krishna did not belong only to his parents, Nanda and Yashoda. He was the son of all the elderly inhabitants of Vrindavan, and the friend of all contemporary boys and girls. Everyone loved Krishna. He was the life and soul of everyone, including the animals, the cows, and the calves. Text 29. While herding the very beautiful cows and bulls, who were the reservoir of all opulence and good fortune, the Lord used to blow his flute, and thus he enlivened his faithful followers, the cowherd boys. Purport. As he grew to 6 and 7 years old, the Lord was given charge of looking after the cows and bulls in the grazing grounds. He was the son of a well-to-do landholder who owned hundreds and thousands of cows, and according to Vedic economics, one is considered to be a rich man by the strength of his store of grains and cows. With only these two things, cows and grain, humanity can solve its eating problem. Human society needs only sufficient grain and sufficient cows to solve its economic problems. All other things but these two are artificial necessities created by man to kill his valuable life at the human level and waste his time in things which are not needed. Lord Krishna, as the teacher of human society, personally showed by his acts that the mercantile community, or the Vaishyas, should herd cows and bulls and thus give protection to the valuable animals. According to Smriti regulation, the cow is the mother and the bull the father of the human being. The cow is the mother because just as one sucks the breast of one's mother, human society takes cow's milk. Similarly, the bull is the father of human society because the father earns for the children just as the bull tills the ground to produce food grains. Human society will kill its spirit of life by killing the father and the mother. It is mentioned herein that the beautiful cows and bulls were of various checkered colors, red, black, green, yellow, ash, and so on. And because of their colors and healthy smiling features, the atmosphere was enlivening. Over and above all, the Lord used to play his celebrated flute. The sound vibrated by his flute would give his friends such transcendental pleasure that they would forget all the talks of Brahmananda, which is so much praised by the impersonalists. These cowherd boys, as will be explained by Shukadev Goswami, were living entities who had accumulated heaps of pious acts, and thus were enjoying with the Lord in person and were hearing his transcendental flute. The Brahma Samhita 5:30 confirms the Lord's blowing his transcendental flute. Venum kvananta madavinda dalaya taksham barhavatangsam asitam buddhasundarangam kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govinda maripurusham tamaham bhajami. Brahmaji said, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who plays on his transcendental flute. His eyes are like lotus flowers. He is decorated with peacock plumes. His bodily color resembles a fresh black cloud, and his bodily features are more beautiful than millions of cupids. These are the special features of the Lord. Text 30. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easy as a child breaks dolls. Purport. The atheist Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna just after his birth. He failed to do so, but later on he got information that Krishna was living in Vrindavan at the house of Nanda Maharaj. He therefore engaged many wizards who could perform wonderful acts and assume any form they liked. All of them appeared before the child Lord in various forms like Aga, Baka, Putana, Shakata, Trinavarta, and Denuka, Gardaba. Denuka, another name for Denuka is Gardaba. And they tried to kill the Lord at every opportunity. But one after another, all of them were killed by the Lord as if he were only playing with dolls. Children play with toy lions, elephants, boars, and many similar dolls, which are broken by the children in the course of their playing with them. Before the Almighty Lord, any powerful living being is just like a toy lion in the hands of a playing child. No one can excel God in any capacity, and therefore no one can be equal to or greater than Him. Nor can anyone attain the stage of equality with God by any kind of endeavor. Jnana, Yoga, and Bhakti are three recognized processes of spiritual realization. The perfection of such processes can lead one to the desired goal of life and spiritual value, But that does not mean that one can attain a perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavors. The Lord is the Lord at every stage. When he was playing just like a child on the lap of his mother Yashodamayi, or just like a cowherd boy with his transcendental friends, he continued to remain God without the slightest diminution of his 6 opulences. Thus, he is always unrivaled. Text 31. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Yamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away, and after coming out of the river, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state. Text 32. The Supreme Lord Krishna desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows, and he also wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land, and the cows, with the help of learned brahmanas. Purport. Since he is the teacher of everyone, the Lord also taught his father, Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj was a well-to-do landholder and owner of many cows, and, as was the custom, he used to perform yearly worship of Indra, the king of heaven, with great opulence. This worship of demigods by the general populace is also advised in the Vedic literature, just so people can accept the superior power of the Lord. The demigods are servants of the Lord, deputed to look after the management of various activities of universal affairs. Therefore it is advised in the Vedic scriptures that one should perform yagyas to appease the demigods. But one who is devoted to the Supreme Lord has no need to appease the demigods. Worship of the demigods by common people is an arrangement for acknowledging the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, but it is not necessary. Such appeasement is generally recommended for material gains only. As we have already discussed in the 2nd canto of this literature, one who admits the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to worship the secondary demigods. The demigods become puffed up with power and forget the supremacy of the Lord. This happened when Lord Krishna was present in the universe, and thus the Lord wanted to give a lesson to the King of Heaven, Indra. He therefore asked Maharaj Nanda to stop the sacrifice offered to Indra and to use the money properly by performing a ceremony worshipping the cows and the pasturing ground on the hill of Govardhan. By this act, Lord Krishna taught human society, as he has instructed in the Bhagavad Gita, also, that one should worship the Supreme Lord by all acts and by all their results. That will bring about the desired success. The Vaishyas are specifically advised to give protection to the cows and their pasturing ground, or agricultural land, instead of squandering their hard-earned money. That will satisfy the Lord. The perfection of one's occupational duty, whether in the sphere of duty to oneself, one's community, or one's nation, is judged by the degree to which the Lord is satisfied. Text 33. O sober Vidura, King Indra, his honor having been insulted, poured water incessantly on Vrindavan, and thus the inhabitants of Braja, the land of cows, were greatly distressed. But the compassionate Lord Krishna saved them from danger with his pastime umbrella, the Govardhan hill. Text 34. In the third season of the year, the Lord enjoyed as the central beauty of the assembly of women by attracting them with his pleasing songs in an autumn night brightened by moonshine. Purport. Before leaving the land of cows, Vrindavan, the Lord pleased his young girlfriends, the transcendental gopis, in his Rasa-lila pastimes. Here, Uddhava stopped his description of the Lord's activities. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, second chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna. All glories to the pastimes of Lord Krishna, especially those childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, and all glories to the eternal associates of the Lord, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Devi, the cowherd boys, the cowherd girls, the cows and calves, the peacocks, the ducks, the cranes, and all the plants and creepers of Vrindavan forests. Hare Krishna. So it's 8 o'clock. We'll stop here and continue tomorrow with beginning the third chapter. And wait in anticipation for the reflections of the devotees so we can get their sangha, their association.
First, this evening is from Sudevi Dasi.
Hare Krishna Sudevi Dasi, Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai, all glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada.
And from Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Yes, Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and all assembled devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, all glories to His Divine Grace.
From Bhakta Rupa.
Yes, Bhakta Rupa.
Thank you for reading this evening, Maharaj. It's very nice to hear about Krishna this early on in the Bhagavatam.
Yes.
It's wonderful foreshadowing for what's to come.
Yes. It's also described by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is so wonderful in this sense that Lord Krishna's pastimes are discussed in different places, from the beginning, or almost the beginning of the Bhagavatam, and finally, at the 10th canto, exclusively, his pastimes are glorified and described. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented that by this circumstantial hearing, the devotees get to hear everything about the Lord, his pastimes with his incarnations and his devotees of all varieties, and also Krishna's pastimes sprinkled in the text. And in that way, if we just continue to hear sincerely in the company of other Vaishnavas, gradually we will become naturally and specially attached to certain pastimes. And this will lead us to a contemplation and meditation on particular servants of the Lord in Braja or in Vaikuntha. And in that way, we will become attracted and attached, and eventually follow in the footsteps of those eternal associates of the Lord, and therefore become eligible to go back to the Lord and enjoy our original relationship. In the 4th chapter, 34th verse of Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada makes this statement, that the natural and special appreciation of a particular pastime of the Lord can be an indication of the original relationship of the soul with Krishna. So this is the actual process for awakening our original relationship with Krishna. And we don't know what it is yet, but this is how we find out, because it's there already. It's there already in everyone's heart, fixed. And by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, especially the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, again and again and again, eventually that original relationship will be revealed to us. It will awaken. It's not that we can think in our mind, I want to be a gopi or a cowherd boy or a cow or whatever, because we think we like it. It has to be real. It has to be an actual awakening of the transcendental desire and identity of the soul. Hare Krishna. Rati Manjari or Rasa Manjari? Rati. Haribo Rati.
Jai Guru Maharaj. After the Sankirtan meeting with His Grace Vaisheshika Das, I am catching the tail of the sacred daily reading as my Rasayana tonic.
Thanks. We didn't expect you to be here, but it's nice that you are. Hare Krishna. You got the association of my best friend. He's such my best friend that I never get to talk to him anymore. He's so busy. Hare Krishna.
And she also says, please accept my humble obeisances. So beautiful what you just said about the awakening of our original attraction to Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm just repeating Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's words, Srila Prabhupada's words. Thank you, though, for the encouragement. Hare Krishna.
From Subarao Rajagopal.
Hare Krishna Sivarao, Rajagopal, Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you for your daily reading service. It is greatly reassuring and also reinforcing the Shraddha, the first stage of bhakti. When you were reading the purport 3.2.23, quote, the Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him the highest reward, unquote. And in 24, quote, anyone who is slightly in touch with the Lord somehow or other is greatly benefited, even to the point of salvation, due to the excellence of the Lord.
Yes. This is particularly the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, because he came and he preached the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the most special Vedic literature. It's a summary of all the other Vedic literatures, and it leaves out anything that has anything to do with activities other than pure devotional service. Even there are far out stories in the Bhagavatam about devotees who have problems or this or that, but they all result in the glorification of pure devotional service as the goal for everyone. It's unique. The Bhagavatam is unique. And therefore Jiva Goswami, wrote his Sandarbhas in order to glorify the Bhagavatam for what it is, the summum bonum of all knowledge and the cause of pure love of God and a literary incarnation of Krishna, where the shelter went when Krishna left, The world was bereft, but the Bhagavatam appeared soon after to give shelter, and the same shelter you get from hearing the Bhagavatam as with being with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Subarao says, thanks Maharaj for your association and reading.
Hare Krishna, the pleasure is all mine, believe me.
And from Gauranga Gopal?
Yes, Gauranga Gopal.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for reading tonight. I met a Church of England priest on the street today who asked me who I believed God is. I described Krishna and told her about his transcendental occupation as a cowherd boy, having many boys and girlfriends, enjoying for eternity with them in unlimited ways. She looked at me, sorry that I could believe in what she probably heard as something cute, but obviously not true. In one of the previous readings I remember hearing how the devotees are never disturbed when non-devotees are belittling or mock the truth of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, because they are so well established in this truth. I felt sorry for her, that she wasn't attracted by Krishna.
Well, I would say, don't mind now, I'm going to give you some advice. When you meet someone like that who's a priest, a woman and a priest, then best thing is not to go right to that aspect of Krishna's personality. Best to explain to her how Krishna is omniscient, how he is omnipotent, and how he is omnipresent. And explain to her that the Sanskrit name Krishna is, and the word Christ is derived from that by etymological study. And then they can't say anything. If you say what Krishna is actually in Braja, they won't be able to appreciate. But if you tell them, it's actually better to explain to them how, Jesus of the Christ was the original name in Aramaic, right? Lord Jesus of the Christ means Christ was the Father. Lord Jesus prayed to his Father, our Father who art in heaven, and then show how that name comes from, the Sanskrit Krishna to the Greek Christo to the Aramaic Krista to Christ in English. And then they will have a different impression. Hare Krishna.
And from Rati Manjari?
Yes, Rati.
Dear Guru Maharaj, these past days I have been enwrapped in an avalanche of devotional service, which was all ecstatic and enlivening, but with little or no rest. Now I am tired, and to hear about the book distribution, goals, and now the eternal pastimes of Krishna is a little overwhelming. Can you please speak something about the necessity of being patient in this process?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean. If you've been avalanched by devotional service and finally you're hearing the pastimes of Krishna, I think that what you're being overwhelmed by isn't bad. It's nothing you don't need to tolerate. You just need to keep immersing yourself. I mean, I can't think of anything else to say, except that you're very fortunate, and if you're tired physically, that is okay, because the human body has its limitations. But the fact that you are going from one ecstatic service to another in a very short period of time to get immersed, Are you trying to like tolerate the ecstasy, or what are you? What exactly you're trying to tolerate, or do you need to tolerate? You're getting special mercy. Hare Krishna. That's the way I see it. For what it's worth. Hare Krishna.
I am confronted with my human limits, indeed.
Well, Prabhupada said even the Goswamis, they had to eat something, they had to sleep. They're more advanced than we are, for sure. But they had to eat something, they had to sleep a little. Otherwise you can't keep the human body together. And each of us has a human body that has different needs and different requirements, and we have to fulfill them in order to do our service. Isn't it? Hare Krishna.
She says, thank you for always steering me into the positive direction. It helps a lot.
Hare Krishna.
Today I ate mostly sweets.
Okay, now I know what you have to tolerate. But it's okay. Krishna loved to eat sweets.
She says, please help this fool to grow.
Govardhan Vasis love sweets. I once watched, we had a very dear friend who left his body a few years ago. His name was Nanda. I forgot his name. He was a Brajbasi, an older man, and he got attached to us, and he used to defend us when the Brajbasi would make fun of the Western Vaishnavas and stuff like that. And I watched, and he would go around Govardhan. He was a panda, but he was very, what's his name? Oh, darn. It'll come back to me. I watched him consume, rubbery? Rubbery's a very intensely cooked down sweet made of milk product. And I saw him take a quart of it, and just get up like nothing happened and just walked away. Anybody else would be on the ground, They have this propensity to take sweets, the Brajbasis. Hare Krishna. May you become a Brajbasi.
Next is from Jagamohan.
Hare Krishna Jagamohan.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj and dear devotees, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Tonight I deeply relished hearing the childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna. Typically, in my case, the childhood pastimes sound fantastical, and my mind tends to wander, but not tonight. During the reading, I was laughing and actually enjoying the childhood pastimes of the Lord.
Wonderful.
I think my mind was primed by Srila Prabhupada stating how Krishna will accept the lowest offerings and reciprocate the highest benefits. I can barely offer my attention to Krishna, and I feel he has bestowed one of the highest benefits in the association of his devotees. Thank you for tonight's reading. All glories to the daily readings, all glories to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
All glories to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice reflection.
Rati Manjari says Haribol.
Hare Krishna Rati, Haribol. Hare Krishna, thank you very much as usual for your wonderful reflections, and we were so blessed to be able to hear together, the childhood pastimes of Krishna, and starting tomorrow we'll hear the pastimes out of Vrindavan. Yeah.
From Gemma.
Hare Krishna, Gemma.
She says, "Hello, Guru Maharaj. I'm just catching up this minute. Late. I will hear the reading after now. I'm just saying hello and thank you. Hare Krishna."
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thanks for keeping in touch. We appreciate it deeply. Thank you. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same topic. The pastimes of Krishna. This time it'll be out of Vrindavan, told by none other than Uddhava. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.